Only 8% of CFOs out there have actually taken a company public. And so you really need to lean on the experts and the folks that have been there and done that in the past. So a big part of readiness, I think, is walking through and just doing an assessment. It should take you about 3 to 6 weeks to do a really solid assessment. And at the end of that, you'll be left with a list of ideas that are things that you've thought about, but really haven't considered in much detail. It'll identify some things you've never thought about, and then it'll give you a good timeline for how long you should be working on these things, what you need to focus on and prioritize.
So we're going to do this assessment, right? Everybody wants to get ahead. They want to do the planning. They're going to do the assessment. What's the benefit of that?
It's really a roadmap of the next 1 year to, I'll say, next 6 to 18 months. It's going to show you what you need to work on, what you need to focus on. And it's really a timeline to execute the IPO.
Matt, there's a host of areas, a whole host of areas that are going to get a really deep dive when your company goes public.
Yeah.
Give us some of those.
First is the basic financial close, right? Are you closing the books on time? And is everything you're doing, in accordance with GAAP? The next thing is, as a private company, most often you're not going to do a lot of the things that you're going to do as a public company, like SEC reporting, preparing footnotes for the financial statements. Typically, that's something you're only doing annually. Doing an income tax provision on a quarterly basis, and other things like preparing a press release. Again, private companies, things they haven't even thought about. Doing long-range financial planning, internal audit, tax compliance, HR. The volume of disclosure rules is just increasing every day. You've got new cyber disclosure rules, you've got new ESG disclosure rules, climate change. So, many things that companies, again, haven't, as a private company, you're not thinking about climate change and climate reporting disclosure. So you've got to think about all these things as you get ready for the IPO.
Okay, it's clear. Assessment, super important for IPO. But how far ahead do they actually need to get this assessment done?
The gold standard, I'd say, is anywhere from 12 to 18 months. But you've got a certain volume of work that needs to get done. And if you're compressing the timeline for that volume of work, then you're going to just have an increased number of resources that you need in your organization. So you're going to have to hire more outside help or just increase the absolute number of hours that you're going to work to get the IPO ready.
Yeah, that's tough, though. Increasing hours on the internal team. They've got to operate the business and they've got to do the lift for the IPO. That sounds like it's really tough.
Yeah, and again, that's why you hire outside experts to come in and act as your arms and legs, either do the things you're not good at or just augment the things that you're doing. And you might just need another AP clerk, but maybe you need a new SEC reporting manager because that's something that your company doesn't have expertise in. So really, again, is when you go through that assessment, that will help you identify the areas that you have that you need to improve and the areas that you just don't have, and really what to focus on.
We're hearing from lots of organizations that are trying to go public. We've helped lots of organizations go public. I think one of the common things that we see is that a lot of times that CFO that is going public, they're doing it for the first time. Yeah. What are some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the statistic is only 8% of CFOs out there have actually taken a company public. And so you really need to lean on the experts and the folks that have been there and done that in the past. And again, I think the important piece of that is doing an assessment that's going to give you a detailed roadmap and it'll identify the areas that you need to focus on as you move forward. And critically, the hires that you need to make or the resources from the outside that you need to bring in order to stay on track to get that IPO done.
Yeah, it sounds like this assessment really shows, show me what I don't know.
Yeah, and it'll highlight the areas of key risk for you as well, the areas that could, potentially derail the entire IPO.
Great. Does this assessment also kind of turn into a roadmap for your organization?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it should look like at the end of the day. It'll give you all the key holes in your organization to fill in and a realistic timeline to achieve those objectives.
When it comes to an IPO, there's a lot there. You've talked a lot about it. Are organizations bringing in almost like a quote-unquote project manager to kind of help with this process?
I think the organizations that are anticipating a big IPO or folks that don't have experience or are handling multiple roles, the CFO really wants somebody that's like they're their right-hand man, and so that's typically where we see folks are bringing in project manager who will handle everything and herd the cats, if you will, and just make sure the project stays on course.
And there's real benefit for that, pulling different people from different areas.
Yeah, significant benefit. Again, when you think about all of the complexities of pulling together an IPO, and again, especially if you're a CFO and this is the first time you've done it, there's just a huge number of things that need to get done, and you want to have somebody that's solely focused on that so the CFO can be focused on the operational aspects of the business. And he's certainly going to weigh in on everything that's happening, but just to organize and coordinate, we've seen organizations bring in project managers, and it just makes things get done so much more effectively.
Sounds like a great investment then.
Absolutely. Every dollar you spend on readiness can save you $2 on audit costs, and it can return tenfold that amount when the company goes public if you can hit the window at the right time. So I think it's all about being ready, and being ready tracks back to having a game plan, and having a game plan tracks back to doing a good assessment and bringing in the right professionals to help you with the areas that are either going to expose you to the greatest risk or take the longest amount of time and need a lot of expertise.